The next step would be to remove the polyscope, and that just comes very easily off by just unscrewing the whole thing, and that's the polyscope off. Let's put that on one side, and the next step is to remove the polyscope cap, which comes off by removing these 3 screws that holds it in the place. This one, there's 2. Okay, this one is a bit harder to get to because this bolt is in the way, so I'm probably going to have to remove this whole thing. And since I've removed this now, I can actually turn this in a slightly more convenient angle to get to the last screw. And that removes the cap as well. Right, so the next step would be to remove this ring which holds the tapered bearing for the right ascension axis on this side. I'm not sure if I'm able to actually do this using the tools that I have available right now, but I'm going to try anyway. The first thing to do is to loosen these scrap screws a little. There should be 4 of them. There's 2. There's one over here. And the last one. Now, according to the instructions, this should be coming off by unscrewing it. It doesn't want to come off by hand, and the instructions are suggesting using a tool like this, but I'm not sure if this is actually big enough. And whatever you do, don't destroy it. So if you don't have the right tools right now, it would be probably a better idea to go to the shop and get a bigger pair of pliers like this, rather than forcing it using the wrong tools and potentially damaging the parts along the way. I will give it a go, and then I will come back to you in a sec. Alright, new day, new tools. Turns out that my pliers, any of that I had, just were not big enough, so I went to the shop and was not able to find big enough water pump pliers, but instead I went to a car shop and bought this oil filter removal tool. But the diameter of the ring is 57 millimeters, and this tool actually goes only down to 60 millimeters. But what I did, I wrapped a little bit of a double-sided padded tape around the ring, and by tightening up the oil filter removal tool, I'm actually able to unscrew this or loosen it up. And as I'm rotating this, the bearing is already coming out as well, so you have to be careful not to drop it on the floor like I did on the other bearing. So that's the ring removed, and that's the bearing. This bearing is bigger than the other one that I already took off, so it's not possible to actually mix them up, so I'm going to just put that on one side and have a look at the instructions for the next step. The next step is to remove this RA axis clutch lever and loosen up the bolt to be able to remove this whole RA axis assembly. But before I do so, I will turn this into a bit more comfortable position by removing the bolt on this side as well. Like so. So now I should be able to turn this all the way back. So I'm going to loosen this up, and we need a screwdriver to be able to remove the clutch lever. And that comes off by unscrewing the little screw on top of it. Now we are able to loosen this clutch bolt several turns, as it says on the instruction. And now we should be able to lift this whole thing off. Careful not to drop anything. There we go. And that's the RA axis assembly removed.